All right, what's happening, athletes? We are here with the third episode of the Athletes Podcast with our guest today, Cassidy Ryan, a 24-year-old professional basketball player from Mississauga, Ontario. Thank you for coming, Cassidy, and please give the athletes an introduction to yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. An introduction to myself. So I probably started playing basketball when I was about 11 or 12, and I started out playing hockey. Went the high school route, played all in Mississauga, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Started picking up a lot of university interest in the States, probably in the 11th grade. I went on a trip to UCLA to visit there. I originally verbally committed there. Their coach got fired. Kind of sucked because UCLA would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Then I decided to stay close to home, went to Canisius, just over the border here. It was actually a really good 2 years. I enjoyed it a lot. The only reason why I came home was some stuff with my dad. He passed away.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
No, that's all good. Just wanted to be a little closer to my mom. And actually coming to Brock was probably the best thing I've ever done. I wish I did 5 years here. Unfortunately, I only did 3. But now it's just following into a path where I'm playing professionally. And hopefully I can take it as far as I can go.
Very nice. So your end goal is to then, play professionally. Is it overseas? Is it here in North America?
Obviously everyone's goal is to play in the NBA. I wouldn't say it's a long shot, but it's a possibility. Overseas is where I see myself making money potentially, and also possibly in the NBA G League, which is working itself out right now.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, you were just recently in the Raptors 905 tryouts.
Yeah. So I was just in China, did a little tournament out there for 2.5 weeks. Came back home. Got a call to go to the 905 tryout. So I went to the open tryout. That was actually only a few days ago. Did the first tryout. It went well. Got a call to come back for the next day. Did that, and then I just got a call this morning actually to come to the actual training camp. So
no way.
Yeah, so hopefully it all plans out. It's good on my resume regardless to say I was at the training camp for that. Even if I don't make the roster, I can potentially get put into the draft, for the G League.
Okay.
So if another team wants to pick me up, if you guys hear this, please pick me up.
There you go.
Yeah, so see where it goes.
For sure. And so you just recently graduated from Brock University 2019. You're sitting at 6'7", playing the 4 position. What's that like, making that next step to the G League, at least in tryouts? What is that competition like?
It's different. The style of play is a little different. It honestly gets easier the higher the level gets because you can't do too much. You dribble too many times, the ball's going to get stolen. So it makes the game a lot more simple, which is weird to say because everyone thinks it's harder. The competition's better. But for me, it's just really I run down the court, set a screen, or I run to the corner and catch and shoot.
Yeah.
So my job's pretty simple. I just do what the coach tells me to do, and that's it. But the only difference really is just guys are stronger, faster, and smarter.
Right. You don't have the opportunity to make a mistake because it's really
No, because you make a mistake, there's another guy who's willing to not make a mistake, or at least try not to make the mistakes that you're making.
Yeah.
So.
I always found that actually, growing up playing sports, you have that when the competition's higher, it brings you to that next level, and your competitive atmosphere and energy is able to sort of counteract any nerves that you have maybe playing.
Yeah, there's no nerves anymore, really. Everyone at these tryouts or these workouts have been playing basketball for so long that it's just it's second nature. It's really just trying to compete harder than anybody and making the right decisions.
Right. So where do you think you benefited the most, growing up? Was it that those 2 years at Canisius? You mentioned that you loved your 3 years here at Brock. That's where we met. We were, I saw you battling on the court out there. Where was your best times where you felt like you grew as an athlete the most?
I'd say there's 2 places. Mentally, I grew a lot when I was in the States.
First time on your own?
Yeah, pretty much first time on my own. I went to high school for 2 months in grade 11, but then I signed my letter of intent to play, so I came back home. But really, it was just more my coaches were so against Canadians. It seemed like it, at least it felt like in my first year. But I also went in with the mindset that I'm going to start, I'm going to play all these minutes. And then as you've seen at Brock too, if you're a freshman, it's hard to get minutes.
For sure.
So I think every freshman goes through it. You get really shook when you get to school and you're oh my God, all these guys, grown men you're playing against. Here I am, 18 years old out of high school, and I'm not really touching the court at all. That really tested me a lot because I went from being one of the best players in my class to now starting all over again, which is hard. And I think it kind of set me up for the point where I'm at now, is to learn how to navigate through those emotions. Because, like, obviously, first year as a professional, you're not going to be the best guy on your team anymore. So I kind of realized, and luckily I learned that when it coming out of high school. Because if I went through it now, I think it would be a lot tougher for me to handle.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily recognize. You know, you come into university, you're probably highly recruited. You've got all these expectations going into first year, and unless you're the Zion Williamson or the RJ Barrett of the group, you know, you're not starting in your first year, and you're not playing those minutes that you used to be playing, which in turn, you know, has your game sees that suffer as well, because you're not playing those extra minutes. So you got to put in that much more time in practice to be able to play properly and to play to the ability that you want. So take me through what your coaching staff was like in the U.S., you know, playing Div 3 Canisius is correct?
Division 1.
It's Division 1, sorry, my apologies. So, you know, Division 1 basketball, what's that compared to, I guess now U Sports, formerly CIS? What's that?
Well, coaching staff was a lot different than Brock. I mean, Coach Cassidy was amazing. He was young. He's tenacious. He likes to get after it every day. My coach is in the States, super old school. Gosh, I don't even know how old he is. He looks old. He's a great coach, though. Jim Barron, if you guys want to look him up, legendary coach out there, really highly respected. But it was just two different worlds. There's one way he sees basketball versus how our coach Kissy saw basketball. I learned a lot from both of them. It's just the one thing that stuck with me from both of them actually is if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. So anyone listening, any young athletes, make sure you're early for everything.
It's a good way to be, absolutely.
Yeah. I ran too many times for being late in my first year, so never again.
You learn your lesson. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Right? That's one thing I know from Coach Kissy. Who's now with Raptors 905. So,
yeah.
Right? He, I was on the sidelines watching those basketball games, but I knew exactly how hard he was working you guys off the court, and he held you guys accountable. I think that's important in this day and age where society's at, you know, making sure that athletes are held accountable. And, you know, you got to do your job, right? And if you don't do your job, someone next in line is going to take your place.
Oh, 100%.
And I think he stressed that.
Especially when you're getting paid to do it, because it's a business at this point. Even when I was in the States, it's a business there because they're paying for your full education. So if you did something wrong, there's another guy in line who they're paying to do the job. So, I mean, the CIS is a little different because you're a student first. But the pro level, too, like if you're not doing your job, they're going to pay another guy to do it.
Yeah, and so what was, you mentioned the student first atmosphere in CIS, was that, I take it that wasn't the exact same down in the
not
US?
necessarily. I mean, like, if you wanted to study to be, say, a doctor, you're not going to be allowed. I mean, you could, but you're going to lose a lot of opportunity in basketball, or if you see it in football players. Like, practice is first, basketball is first. Our coach say you're paid to be here. You're paying for your school so you could play basketball.
Wow.
So it's a little bit different. I mean, well, think of the money, the revenue.
For sure.
Is insane in the NCAA. It's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Whereas Canada, students are paying to go to school. I mean, out east, you get paid to play there. But, yeah, in OUA, you got to pay to go to school. So you better get your degree if you're paying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, because I think there's a lot of talent that would stay in Canada if there was that supplemental financial incentive to stay.
I definitely agree. I think there's that. So if you paid kids to stay in Canada, they're going to stay because, one, their families are here, and going, like, say, 8-hour flight is kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But the other aspect is the media. I mean, everyone looks at the NCAA. It's on a world stage, right?
Yeah.
So I think if Canada could get, or U Sports could get the media up and they can fund it better, and kids will eventually stay. But UC Canada is producing some of the best basketball players now. So it's just a matter of time, really.
Yeah, so where do you think U Sports can improve? Is it, you know, from a social media perspective? Well, I mean, one of our friends, actually, Mo, he just signed I believe he's in charge of marketing for U Sports now. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple months once he gets a full grasp on it. But where do you think there's areas that they can improve specifically?
I thought U Sports does a good job with what they have. Like, the money that they don't have, they're making the most out of it. It's really just finding funding. So TV deals would probably be the next best thing. Because I know before, when I was a kid, I used to be able to watch like Ryerson versus Carleton on TV.
Oh, okay.
But now it's like the only time you're on TV is at the national tournament.
Right.
But the money is always in TV deals. NCAA, that's where they make all their money. NBA, they're crazy TV deals, right? So it's really a money issue. Because once you put money into things, you get kids staying here, paying for the school, paying for their food. And it sucks to say, but a lot of good basketball players come from families that don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not a sport that you necessarily, it's a low
cost.
Yeah,
right?
It's a low cost sport to begin participating in. And I think it's important to incentivize that, for those families that don't necessarily have money to put their kids into hockey, put them into golf, etc. Right?
Well, now you see with the Raptors winning the championship, like there's kids playing basketball everywhere now in Toronto. So it's just only growing in our country. So it's just a matter of time, I really think. So
yeah, it's another movement. I think even you saw sort of some of the younger kids, and you might even be a part of the Vince Carter effect in Toronto, in Ontario, in Canada. And I think this, the Raptors winning the championship here will probably just even amplify that times 10, right?
Oh, for sure, I agree. I mean, Vince Carter obviously set it off in Toronto, I guess. It's funny that you say that. My dad was a mover. And he actually moved Vince Carter to New Jersey from Toronto.
No way.
And I have a framed jersey that he wore in a game I could sign. It's at my house actually.
Jeez.
So it's kind of random that you say that, but yeah, I do have that.
That's insane. Probably one of the most underappreciated players.
Yeah, I mean he's still a legend, I guess. In Toronto, at least he's a legend.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to see him come back and retire.
I know it would be. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Masai brings him in for a 1-day contract.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Has him retire. So take me through what it's like. You mentioned I'm very interested on the academic portion. From an athlete's perspective, I think there's a lot of athletes who are trying to go, the NCAA, the U Sports route. And what is it that they can prepare for in high school, moving through, because you have both sides of the 49th parallel?
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you're going. I mean, if you want to go to the States, you have to write your SATs. So with that being said, if you're a really good test taker, I mean, maybe your GPA doesn't have to be as high because it works on a scale, right? So for me, luckily, I was always a good student. My SAT scores didn't necessarily matter as much. But I think school in Canada as a whole is a lot more difficult, but you're getting a much better education. Fair enough. I think as you're an athlete, when you're young, you always think, I'm going to go pro. That was my goal, but everyone on my team growing up always said that, and I'm the only one left.
Yeah.
So I think your education should still be a main focus point.
Priority number one.
Oh, it should be. It has to be. Because even for me, my education was important because basketball is going to end. It could end tomorrow. It could end in a couple of years. I don't know where it's going to take me right now. I'm still trying to do something with it. But I always know I have my education that I fall back on. A lot of athletes don't realize that, especially when they're young, you're stubborn, you only have one goal.
Yeah.
But you're one injury away from never playing your sport again.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to go to school and learn, then you're in a tough situation.
So that's a good point, because so many athletes just think their body's going to be 100% for their whole life. They're never going to be injured, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And it's simply not the case, right? It's shown day in and day out. There's people all the time that are getting hurt. Whether it's a minor injury, it can set you back a month, 6 months, a year, and just derails your career, right? Mm-hmm. And so what are some preventative measures that you've used, or have you had any injuries that have significantly set you back?
Luckily, no. We're gonna knock on some wood for that.
You have to find something.
Honestly, just working out was a big thing for me. I've worked out for a long time, since probably grade 9. I was in the weight room. So for me, that was a measure that I took to make sure I don't get injured. I mean, I've rolled my ankle, I've tweaked little things, but I mean, luckily I haven't actually hurt myself to the point where I can't play. But really, anyone could get hurt. The only guy I've ever seen with longevity is LeBron James, but he openly says he spends $1 million a year on his body.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one case of the best athlete in the world. But everyone else, you never know.
Would be nice to have those resources.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it would be amazing. But everyone else, you can get hurt today. I get hurt when I leave your house right now.
Yeah. So what are some preventative measures that you use? Are you supplementing? Are you spending time in the sauna? Recovery methods? And this is also from a student's perspective, so it's good
Yeah.
for those listening.
Well, supplements I used to take like whey protein or whatever, but nothing too serious out of the supplement now. I like to shop and cook my own food and eat pretty clean.
Yeah,
But
you're always posting IG stories.
oh man, I'm a chef, man.
Chicken, rice, and broccoli.
I'm
you
a
know?
chef. No, I think you should learn how to cook. Everyone needs to learn how to cook, especially when you move out to go to school.
Completely agree.
Yeah, you don't want to be eating McDonald's every day.
No. Body's not gonna like it.
No, it's not. I did that in China, so
Oh, dear.
it wasn't good.
Was the McDonald's the same in China as it is
A
here?
little bit different. I mean, you got some different options, but it was the only thing I trusted, so I ate it for 10 days straight.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it was the best option.
And did your performance suffer? You said you still led the team in performance.
Yeah, no, I felt fine. I mean, if Usain Bolt can do it for 10 days in Beijing, then I'm going to do it too.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But no, back to recovery and stuff. Like just stretching a lot. Like ice tub's been like my savior. Between those two things and sleep is a big thing.
Are you trying to get 8 hours minimum, or?
I don't necessarily have a time, but I nap a lot.
Okay.
Napping, especially as a student, because you got random class times in practice. I usually would nap right after practice. Even in the
Nice.
locker room, I'll fall asleep. So
Nice.
yeah, just those three things: food, ice, and sleep. That's
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
All right. So you heard it. Any cryotherapy? Have you tried that?
I've actually tried it.
Yeah.
It's different. It's so fast. You're only there for like, I think it was like 60 seconds I was in there for.
Really?
It's freezing. Like it is freezing. Really cold. But it's honestly better than the ice tub, because ice tub is like direct contact on your skin, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. We can't afford that in most schools.
Yeah, no.
So ice tub it was.
You heard that, Brock. Come on. You gotta step up financial incentives. So, take me through what your training schedule is like in season versus off season. Then you're talking about those recovery methods. Are you doing that year round, or?
In season's a lot different. So when you're playing, especially as a guy like myself, I played a lot of minutes for Brock. Oh my gosh, you'd go from game, as soon as we were done our games, go stretch, cool down, and then it was like a mandatory ice bath for any starter. So that kind of sucks, especially like
Brought you closer to the boys then. I'm
oh
sure.
yeah, we'd be in there talking a bit, but yeah, so you go from that, and then usually like after that you'd have like the next day practice or whatever, but he usually would take it easy on some of the guys just because we've got to play again in a couple days. It's really tough on the body.
Yeah.
We probably lifted like 3 times a week, but it was more like a maintenance lift, like just get in and get out, just to maintain like joint strength and muscle like endurance. But like off season, especially here at Brock with Steve Lidstone, it's a grind. Like it is rough.
Yeah.
There's some like we'd run up like Hydro Hill in the back of the school here. I just remember guys over the edge puking. Like I've puked. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, the strength training at Brock was great. Honestly, Steve was a huge addition to our team. I thought, like outside of a coaching staff,
Right.
he was probably the biggest addition we had. Like he was
So when did he come on?
my second year at Brock.
And
So-
what did he bring to the table? Because he has some prior experience.
Oh, he has tons of experience. He
Yeah.
works with like the men's national basketball team he was working with. He's still with our hockey team, the national hockey team. He's honestly like a textbook of knowledge. He knows so much that like you could obviously YouTube things, but he'll sit down and build a program specifically for you. And like he works magic because he's a genius, and he's always there every single day.
Nice. And did you see a direct result of that? Did you see your performance improve? Your
Oh,
vertical?
Yeah, I mean, we do always like a like a pre-summer test and then a post-summer test. So in those like 4 months, how much we gain. Literally everyone on our team's gained like bench press, deadlift, squat, jumping, and endurance goes up. Like literally everywhere across the board.
Wow.
Everyone goes up in everything.
Jeez.
So it's definitely a huge thing for our school to be able to have him.
Yeah. So that's important. I think every aspect. So that's the physical side. You've got the academic side. Did you guys ever do any mindfulness, any mental, work?
Yeah. We had a few sessions where I don't remember his name. He's a prof at Brock, but he's a psychology prof. He sat in with us and we talked about things on how to like mentally prepare and like manage some things. Other than that, not much. It's a lot of team bonding stuff though.
Yeah.
Like we're together 24/7.
Some good stories.
Oh yeah, there's some good stories.
Any you want to share on the cast?
I mean, what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. But I mean, yeah, we had so we took a trip to Costa Rica my first year. which was like amazing.
Yeah, not a bad place to travel to.
Oh no, it was awesome. It was so nice. Played some games down there. Stayed at a resort, which was amazing. We like stayed at this place called Hocko Beach, which is like a world-renowned like surfing spot.
Okay.
These waves are like the size of a house. So like, there's only like a select few of us who would go in the ocean because these waves are like deadly.
Yeah.
But I remember there was like beach, like a little stream, and then beach, and we tried to get to the other side, and we didn't realize it was deep water right there. So I remember Mitch Saunders.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll go first. As soon as he steps like into this water, it like shoots him out into the middle of the ocean. Like it was like a strong current. Shoots this guy out there. He's like tossed up. He's up in a wave, like literally like the height of a house, like 20 feet up in the air. He's screaming. Like his phone was in his pocket, I think. Like he got wrecked. So we're like, okay, we're not gonna cross this today.
And just for those listening, Mitch also, did he have his long hair then as well?
Oh, Mitch is a monster. Yeah, he had like hair down to his shoulders almost at this point. He's probably like 225, like 6'7".
Yeah, just getting tossed around.
Just getting tossed by these waves, and it was. Yeah, that's the only story I want to share about our team.
There you go, Mitch Saunders getting the shout out.
Yeah,
that's my boy. We both started at Brock first year together.
Yeah, you guys were in Speedman together.
Yeah, man, and he and I sort of stayed in touch throughout all 4 years. It's kind of cool. Wishing him the best of luck next year because he's got big shoes to fill.
He's got his final year. You know what? I'm expecting a lot from him. He's actually so good. It's just getting him in the right mindset to play. Like when he's on, he's like an animal.
Yeah.
Because he's so strong, he's so fast, and he's got such a good touch around the rim. So when he plays hard, he's amazing.
Well, and there was a lot of guys that were in the mix in front of him, right? In those 4 or 5 spots. You had Danny Algotti, who obviously everyone who's listening who knows U Sports, he dominated the U Sports for a while, and it's tough as a younger guy when you're coming through, but hopefully he used those first couple of years to really learn from you guys.
Yeah. I think you'll have a good season this year.
Yeah, that's good. That's exciting. And so you mentioned before you went to China for those couple of weeks, you were playing in the Crown League. What's that like?
So Crown League was actually like the previous summer. They actually shut it down this year because of the CBL that started up.
Right.
So guys were like, why would we play in Crown League for no money when teams want us to pay us per game?
Yeah.
And then why would we risk getting hurt every week when we could be getting paid?
Right, makes sense.
So Crown League was last year, which was actually a lot of fun. So it was my second Crown League experience. Just like it's almost like a reunion. Like everyone's home for the summer from school. Like it's just like a pro-am. Bunch of free stuff, like any Nike gear you want. The gym's always sold out. There's DJs. Yeah, it's like a super cool experience. You play against NBA guys who come through like as like celebrity guests, I guess.
Right.
Like I remember regarding who came last year. Stanley Johnson was there.
Oh,
he's actually a good player. I
Yeah,
played against him growing up. Serge Ibaka was in there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they always bring through some like good players.
Very cool. And do you think that's something that maybe comes back, or is the CBL? How was that first year? I don't really know much about it. A couple boys were playing in that this year.
Yeah, I think it's gonna stay. I think it's a great league. Like next summer, I'm gonna play in it.
Okay.
I just stayed out of it this summer just because my agent was a little weary about it. But like, I wish I had played in it.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are playing. I think it's here to stay though.
Very cool.
It's honestly the best breakdown. Like guys are still allowed to go overseas, play wherever they want, because it's only in this 4 months of summer, which is everyone's off season, right?
Yeah.
So I think they figure it out. Like guys can still go collect their check overseas, and if they want to play when they get home, get the best competition while you're home.
Yeah.
Stay, you can make like 30 grand in the summer.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's not a bad little for your off season.
No, it's not bad at all for your off season, and you get to stay in shape. So I think it's here to stay.
Very cool. And then, so that's a good opportunity for all Canadians to also see some of the best talent that's still, within North America that's not playing in the NBA, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like there's, especially with the U Sport aspect that they have with it, like Tyler Brown, he's coming back for another year, but he got to experience playing with guys who played pro for like 10 years. So like the learning aspect, which is great because it influences and feeds back into the U Sport system.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a big option that they put in.
Yeah, that was brilliant on their part, and it just allows for so many more high quality basketball players to come in and actually compete. Play against those guys like you mentioned who have that decade of professional experience.
Yeah.
And it's huge growth opportunities for those younger kids who beforehand had been sheltered, right? And they can't do anything during their off season because
Yeah, you
it
just
leaves that eligibility.
100%. Which so now it's great. Like guys in university can go see what it's like. So you got to work on and how to get to that next level, and then you bring it back to your team and share it with everyone. And it also influences fans, right? Because like Niagara River Lions right here by Brock, it helps not only the River Lions get fans because Tyler's coming from Brock, brings those fans, but now they see that he's coming back to school, they want to come see him play, more money for Brock. So I think it works both ways.
Yeah.
So
do you think that they are the teams connecting with universities? Is that something that they've been doing? Because UFV is right near the Fraser Valley, who just won, right?
Yeah. No. Who won this year?
Was that?
I think it was wherever it was. It was in Saskatoon.
Oh, right.
So
yes,
Saskatoon
that's right.
won. Yeah, the home court team won. I don't know necessarily if they're connecting with universities. There's universities in I think every town that they have a team though, which is nice.
Right.
But there's guys like say Hamilton. They got guys from. Well, they were supposed to have a guy from Ryerson, I think.
Okay.
So I mean, it's good regardless. Like you get guys from the general area who are still in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's interesting the way it's working out.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully they can continue to grow because it's basketball because of this next wave. Hopefully this new generation of basketball players, it's good for them to have an opportunity to play professionally at home.
Right? Like
instead of having to go overseas.
That's like my biggest issue is like I'd love to play in the G League because one, I'm in my same time zone. Hopefully I make the 905 and get to live where I grew up and play for where I grew up. Going across the ocean, you're going to where other people live. Like that's where they're from. They get to play at home. So why can't Canada have a league where we can play?
For sure.
So
give me a 5-year and a 10-year plan for you. Everything going well. What would be your?
Oh God, everything goes well in 5 years. I'm in the NBA shooting threes for some team.
What's your dream team?
Oh, I'd play for Toronto any day of the week.
Okay.
But I'll play for any team who wants to pay me. I'll take the minimum, and I'll do anything that they need me to do, and I'll do that. That's obviously my goal. But if obviously that doesn't work out, I mean, overseas would be an option, depending on where I could play, where I would end up. I would like somewhere warm. I mean, I'm not leaving Canada to go somewhere freezing.
Yeah. Unless
the money is obviously great. But other than that, I don't know. Business, like, there's a lot to me other than basketball.
And what was your undergrad in?
I studied phys ed, so I wanted to be a teacher originally. Things kind of changed when I came back to Canada, the way their Con Ed program works here.
Okay.
So I switched just to phys ed. Probably won't use my degree, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I was thinking of doing a master's, like an MBA.
Yeah.
So I was originally going to go play in England for the pro team there, and then they were going to offer to pay for my schooling as well to do my master's.
Nice.
But because I graduated from a university in Canada, they couldn't accept me for this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's weird how it worked out, but I have an opportunity to possibly do it next year.
Nice.
Just because basketball does end at some point, and
yeah.
I do want to make a good living.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's never a bad, I don't think, in my opinion at least, it's never a bad opportunity or an option to get further education, make sure that you're
for sure.
Just that constant learning, whether it's about basketball, whether it's about business. There's so many people that end up becoming complacent. They get in their 9-to-5 job, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
But that's people's worst nightmares, especially kids in our generation. We got people who.
I'm not sitting behind a desk for 8 hours a day. There's no chance.
Yeah.
So.
And so, what would be your dream job outside of basketball? Then, what are you looking at?
Hopefully, someone's paying my bills, man. I don't know. I really want to own like properties, so I want to buy a couple of houses.
Okay.
Either renovate them, flip them, or have people paying off my mortgage while I do whatever I want to do. I just don't want to be on someone's timeline where I'm stamping in the morning and clocking out at night. Like, that's not for me.
Right.
I think maybe sales. I think I could go out and talk to people pretty well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure yet. I'm open to any opportunity.
Yeah, that's very cool. And it's, it's important to keep your doors open, right?
Oh, 100%.
I'm glad to hear you're continuing on with the basketball route because I think you do have the ability. I mean, you got the size.
Yeah.
And I think you got the right connections too. I mean, even a guy like Charles Kissy who's around.
Yeah.
I saw you play through university. Now, obviously, you're getting a reoccurring tryout with the 905 G League team.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he'll be my coach again someday.
That'd
be cool.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
I think he'd be excited about that too.
Yeah, I don't know how often that's really happened to have your university coach as your pro coach at one point.
Well, you see that so much, actually. I shouldn't say so much. You see that a lot, guys, whether they're in the MLB, the NFL, there's coaches that go through the system and they're aging and progressing the same way the athletes are, right?
Yeah.
And they find guys that they know and like when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken them through school. They know exactly what they're going to get once that guy's professional, right? So I think it's probably something that's going to continue to, grow, actually, because so many coaches are looking for something specific, and if they know a guy can fill that role, boom, it's an easy phone call nowadays.
For sure. I think it's a lot more than just your athletic ability, too. It's a lot how personable is the guy. Is he going to get along with everyone in the locker room? Like, there's a lot of intangibles you don't see necessarily on like a score sheet that play into roles like that. Even, like, some of the coaches, like, at this training camp are like, we heard good things about you, like, you're a good guy, like, people like being around you. So, like, little things like that, like, for any athlete listening, like, especially young ones, like, be a good teammate. Be a guy in the locker room who's funny, who's not quiet, and, like, just try working on yourself because it definitely helps you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that something that you think you gained growing up? Was that sports you played? Was that your family, your home life? What was it?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I was always like an outgoing guy. I went through a lot of stuff with my family growing up that could have taken me down a wrong path. So I think like I learned a lot through what not to do, and try to go down the path of what I should be doing. And just through basketball, like I've met so many coaches and mentors who have shaped me into the person I am now, where I would say I'm confident I can go out there and meet someone new or talk in front of anybody. So I think those are small aspects of my life that have shaped me to be who I am.
Yeah, it's in those little pieces that over time you're able to build upon and continue to grow as a human being, which is so important, instead of just being the one hit wonder that's that really great basketball player, right? But there's so many other aspects to you and to what makes up Cassidy Ryan.
I'm not just like everyone's like spherical. Like you're a brother to someone, you're a sister, you're a friend, you're an aunt and uncle. Like you're so many things other than one thing. So when people pin me, oh, he's a basketball player, yes I am, but I'm also a guy who loves motorcycles. I like to read. I like going on vacation. I got a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
in light of that, talking about being spherical and having many aspects to your life, recently in sports, guy Antonio Brown.
Oh God.
Had so much drama around him. I had to bring it up just because I want to hear your point of view from an athlete's perspective, sort of what went on, how he handled it. Pulling in a social media expert, air quotes, to figure out a way to get released by the Raiders. What do you think's going through his head?
I don't know like specific details fully about it. I think he's kind of smart. Like it started out with the helmet thing, right? Like he didn't like the new helmet or something.
Yeah, so there was the NFL had a new concussion policy that brought in a new helmet. He'd been using this same helmet for X amount of years, and he just basically said he wasn't going to play
unless he could wear that helmet, right?
Yeah.
Well, then he gets sponsored by that brand of helmet. Like someone threw him a bunch of money because he was standing by this helmet so much.
Likely, yeah.
So I remember seeing a tweet. Someone was like, "It's not checkers, it's chess," and like he's smart because at the end of the day, he got paid even more money out of sitting out for a couple weeks, saying. Like he was really stirring the pot, really, in social media.
For sure.
I mean, I think it's a little petty, and I don't like it. Kind of like how Odell Beckham Jr. yesterday wore this $300,000 watch during the game.
Ridiculous. Just a huge flex. So
it's
unnecessary.
Such a flex, but I mean, I think it's cool. But at the same time, I think what is it, Richard Mille or something? That's what the watch was. They probably gave it to him to wear.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to sponsor this podcast,
right? It'd be great. I'll wear one on the podcast.
I'll wear that too if they really want me to.
But no, it's just small things like that, like. Guys are learning how to play a system now. Like media is so big now, and social media is like the number one output for everything. If you can make money off anything you can do, why not?
Yeah.
Right. He's still one of the best receivers in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, a team's gonna want him, and now he's on the Pats. He's on the best team with the best quarterback.
Yeah, he just got signed to the Pats.
Like a double win. He's getting paid. He's probably going to win a ring now, and he got paid extra for whatever endorsement deal he just got.
Yeah, so $15 million was this contract he just signed, $9 million signing bonus. So he's got all these added, bonuses that are coming with the fact that he just, had this whole shebang with the Raiders go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a, like, any publicity is good publicity, I think. Like, these guys, they don't care, man. If you're gonna give me $9 million up front,
Yeah.
I'll freaking take a couple weeks off, dude. He's on vacation now. And he's just got paid. I don't see any issue with what he did. I mean, other than the petty aspect, like, some guys don't like it, but we're going to forget about it when he gets his first touchdown as a Pat, so.
It's true, and that's, the pros and cons of social media life in general. He's obviously willing to take some backlash now, people calling him a clown, whatever it is, to in turn, in a couple weeks, make a couple extra million, and then in turn probably likely win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years if he stays with the Pats, right?
Well, you think about all the guys calling him a clowns are the guys who are sitting at home on a Sunday watching him play who make $50,000 to $80,000 a year. He does not care.
Yeah.
If I'm making $15 million a year, at the end of the day, I'm making way more money than you, and you're watching me play still. So at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. What do you think about, how social media has allowed so much critiquing into the sporting world specifically? You've got guys, like you said, who are sitting on their couch on a Sunday tweeting out feverishly every single minute about how, he mistook his, caught it with his right hand. That was ridiculous. Should have done this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
When they're, reaching for their bag of Lay's.
Yeah. I just think it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, social media is helping so many people, and whether it be business, sports related news, but at the same time, like, there's people who are out there trying to put people down or promote negative things. But in the athlete's eye, like, they don't really care so much about the social media. Like, they post things because it's good for their personal brand is huge in sports now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially in a sport where you can see guys face like basketball, your social media is huge because people follow you. They know what you look like. They want to see you. They want the most insight into your life that they can get because they're not you.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying like university athletes and aspect, but professionals, people want to see how they're living. It's cool. Like, who doesn't want to wake up and drive a sweet sports car to practice every day?
Yeah.
Because most people are waking up and driving their Honda Civic to work. Like,
that's what's out in the driveway right
too,
now,
man. So hopefully I'm turning those keys into some Lamborghini keys eventually.
Yeah. But I think even, it starts at that high school, at the university level. You look at guys who are on the basketball, hockey team, whatever it is, whatever institution, there's still that fame associated with, playing on a varsity team.
Yeah. I think it's all relative, right? Like,
yeah.
Sure, okay, fine. The basketball team here or our hockey team, like, yeah, sure, we're recognized around St. Catharines. It's cool. Like, you get a lot of perks for it, but you also get a lot of negative things with it, too. Like, you can't post, like, out with your friends on late night, like, drinking. It's not a good look for any sports player to be posting anything negative, but everyone's young, like, there's a lot of guys out still partying. Yeah. But, like, you just got to be mindful of a lot of things you post because there might be kids following you. Like, I know I try to monitor what I post, like, anything negative. I won't put any negative comments on anyone's page. Just small things like that, but as you progress to being more famous and better at your sport, just the broader the scale gets, there's millions of people watching you now, right? So.
Yeah, and it's a learning opportunity. I think that's part of, university is, there's that academic learning. I think you're learning as an athlete how to deal with a bit of added pressure, a bit of added fame, people recognizing you around the town, community, or whatever you're in.
Yeah.
And it's, that's part of growing as a human.
Oh,
if
for
you're
sure.
Participating at that high level, right?
Yeah, it's worse for guys who go from first year university right to the NBA or to whatever sport they're playing, because then now you've missed those 4 or 5 years of school where you grow a lot from 18 to 24. I've grown tremendously, like, not physically, but like mentally, emotionally. I've grown everywhere. So, like, if you go from 18 years old with $0 in your bank account to now I'm 19, I have X amount of millions in my bank account, and no life experience yet, a lot of things can go wrong. Like, I would have messed up for sure. I would have blown my money.
Yeah.
And I would have probably posted a lot of stupid stuff. So I think having someone around, like an older teammate or someone to teach you what to do and what not to do is very important, especially for those really, really good athletes.
Yeah, I'm interested to know actually whether there is that, whether it comes from an agent, your team, whatever it is, if there's that learning opportunity outside if they've got someone guiding those first overall draft picks?
There is actually.
Yeah.
I know, like Andrew Wiggins, we played together. He was #1 draft pick maybe 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
But I remember when he was first drafted at like the NBA draft camp or the lottery night, they have like a meeting, and it was like a 2-day thing where like you weren't allowed to use your phone. Like they literally sat them all down.
Wow.
Taught them what you can't do and what you shouldn't do and how to promote yourself properly. There's a lot of like they do try to prevent a lot of stuff because you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting the brand.
For sure.
If an NBA guy goes out and gets into a fight in the street, it doesn't just hurt that guy, it hurts the NBA as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So I think they do take their preventative measures to stop that.
That's good, and it's just sort of an express tutorial on the do's and don'ts of being a professional now.
Brock does it too. I remember when we first got here, we had to sit in on a meeting for like 2 hours of what we can post, what we can't post, because we're not only hurting ourselves, we're hurting the university as a whole when something goes wrong.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad to hear that that's happening at the university level as well as the NBA, obviously. Do you have any questions, any stories you want to bring up, any shout outs to specific people?
Stories. Oh God, I don't know.
This podcast is new, so we can go any direction you want to go in.
Any direction. Okay, well first, gotta shout out my younger sister, because she's in nursing school now, so I'm actually proud of her. First time I've said that. Wow, that's embarrassing. No, she's doing really well. She's in school trying to become a nurse, which is cool. Shout out to the Brock men's basketball team. You know, they're going to do big things this year with the new coach. Shout out to Dave Stark having me on today.
Yeah, man, anytime. I'm glad I was able to bring you out. This is a fantastic conversation. I think for those listening and for those watching, we were able to learn a lot about whether it was NCAA, whether it was U Sports. And I think growing as a human as well, there's a lot of insight that you're able to provide.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for those listening, for any young basketball players who've maybe seen you play, or for anyone who's wanting to make that NBA, make the leap? What are some little tidbits of advice you can give?
Find what you're good at and like just perfect those things, because especially the professional level, like it gets way easier. Like as I said, like when I was at Brock, I try to do everything on the court to help my team win. But at the pro level, like I'm a shooter now. Go shoot the ball, and that's all I have to do. So shoot the ball 1,000 times and just run back on defense and talk. So like learn how to perfect the little things, and then just work on like your intangibles, like how you are in the locker room. Like that stuff is huge, I think, and just being the best you can at one certain thing.
Awesome. I think that's some really good advice from Cassidy. Ryan, where can people find you on social media? Instagram, Twitter?
I got Instagram. I got Twitter. I don't really use it. I use it more for news. But yeah, Instagram, it's just my name, Cassidy Ryan 10. And that's about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on to the third episode of the Athletes Podcast, and we'll look forward to seeing some results, hopefully in the G League coming soon.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Sweet.
Ciao.